Hey there, guys. Welcome in. Today, we're going to be talking some baseball cards to buy raw and get graded right now. Hey, Joel, welcome in. So, we are going to take a look at 20 baseball cards that I think right now are good buy raw to get graded, knowing that PSA is taking about 3 months to get them back. So you're going to get them back end of summer in the last month of the season. And these should come back at the right time to where you can make some money on them. So let's take a look and see what we got here. All right, the first card up is Clayton Kershaw. So I believe that the Dodgers are probably going to be in the postseason again. That's no surprise. So the timing should be good to get Kershaw's cards back. This one here, as you can see, most recent sale was $10. There have been 5 sales in the last 30 days. The 30-day average is $7, so it's up a little bit from the 30-day average. There have been the most recent PSA 9 sale was $30, and most recent PSA 10 sale was $96. Now, the numbers today, because it's taking so long to get these cards back, these numbers can vary, greatly between now and 3 months from now. But I'm going to give you all the numbers that it looks like today. So on a PSA 10, you got a 51% chance to get a gem rate. I know the card is from 2007, so a lot of people are saying that it's too old to get graded. But there have been 39 PSA 10s in the last year given to this card. So the card is still popping out PSA 10s, a little bit more than 3 per month for the last calendar year. So this is still a card you can buy raw and get graded and feel confident that you got a shot at a PSA 10. It's a base. It's just a cardboard card, nothing real fancy about it. But that should be able to get you some profits by the time you get it back. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Next one up here should be a Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, again, good chance at being in the postseason. He always has good postseasons. This is the 2012 Bowman Draft, card number 10. You can see, again, just like the Kershaw, the last sale was $10. This one's 13 sales in the last 30 days. So about 3 times more selling per month than what the Kershaw did. The 30-day average is $8. So just like the Kershaw, it's up just a little bit. Also like the Kershaw, the PSA 9 is currently selling for $30. So you get a PSA 9, you're going to be out about $10 with grading fees. PSA 10 currently is sitting at $72, but this card generally always spikes up at the end of the season as long as Harper is in the running for the playoffs. Everybody knows that his stuff gets hot at the end of the year, and as does he typically. So those are 2 a little bit older cards that you are able to buy now, get graded, and hopefully profit on by the time that they come back. All right. Next up is going to be a Paul Skeens. And the Paul Skeens here is the Lunar Glow Refractor. As you can see, most recent sale was $25. There have only been 2 sales in the last 30 days. So even though it's a relatively base card, slightly better than a base card, there have only been 2 sales in the last 30 days. The 30-day average is $29, so it's down slightly. He's having a good year in terms of ERA, but his record isn't great. And that is helping his cards to slide and cool off a little bit. But I think at the end of the year, his stuff is going to pick up when everybody looks at his stats and realizes he's just a really good player on a really bad team. So raw $25, PSA 9 is $55. So that should be a break even point for you on a PSA 9. A PSA 10, however, $370. So a very, very nice return on a PSA 10. There are only 174 of these cards graded at PSA. It does only have a 16% gem rate. There's 28 PSA 10s at this point, but 174 for a Lunar Glow, which isn't a short printed card, doesn't seem like a lot. I'm thinking that this card should be a card that should be relatively easy to find if you look for it. So there is a Paul Skeens play for you. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the often injured superstar Mike Trout. Injured again. I believe I saw somewhere game 29 for the second year in a row. He got injured. He's going to be out for a few weeks again. Hopefully he can make it back, and it'd be great to see him play 100 plus games this year, but don't know if that'll happen. But regardless of what happens with him, his cards have been down a little bit because he's been injured so much the last few years. But this guy is still one of the greatest to ever play the game statistically. His WAR is off the charts. I think he's still going to play a couple more years, even if they're injury plagued, to continue to add to those stats. He's a legend. His cards, I believe his cards are somewhat immune to him getting injured and dropping in price. They might a little bit, but they're not. The bottom's not going to fall out of Mike Trout cards because he's proven himself over his career that he's gonna be a Hall of Famer. That said, you can see the most recent sale was $75. There's 22 of these in the last 30 days, so almost one a day for a card that is almost 15 years old. The 30-day average is $68, so up slightly from the 30-day average. The PSA 10 is $114, so you're going to be able to make a small profit on a PSA 9. And then on a PSA 10, $371. So PSA 10s are hard to come by on this card with the black borders. It's really hard to get a perfect 10. Only 5% have gotten a gem, but you've got about a 30% chance for a PSA 9, and you're still turning a profit on a 9. So this is a card, I don't know if I'd buy it online. I'd probably want to see this one in person and try and really take a good look at the edges and the corners to see whether or not this card you think has a chance to get a mint or a gem mint grade. All right. Next up, we're going to be talking about Chandler Simpson. Charlie, where did Charlie come from? Chandler. All right, Chandler Simpson, 2022 Bowman Draft. This is his base chrome auto. $55 is the most recent sale. There have been 20 sales in the last 30 days, so almost one a day. The 30-day average is $65, so it's down slightly from the 30-day average. If you look at the last three sales have all been under his 30-day average, which is helping bring this down a little bit. PSA 9 is $101. So again, turning a small profit on a PSA 9. There have only been 100 of these cards graded. So again, not a ton of these cards to have to compete with in the market with only 100 graded. 51 of them, though, have gotten PSA 10s. So it's gemming at a 51% rate. And 17 PSA 10s in the last year. I went back. Let me go back. I forgot to mention there have been 5 PSA 10 Mike Trouts in the last year and 20 Paul Skeenses in the last year, just so you guys get an idea. These cards are still gemming, even though they are not the current year cards. So hope that makes sense to you a little bit. Hey, welcome in there, Hal. All right, so next up is, I believe we are going to be going to, let's take a look here and see if I am right. I believe this should be Cam Smith or Kyle Tucker, one or the other. Let's take a look here. It's Cam Smith. All right, now you can see there's not a lot of data on this card. This card is only numbered to 75. A little bit more rare card. I like to throw in some serial numbered stuff for you guys that don't like to deal in the base cards. This is the Bowman Draft Chrome Auto Yellow Refractor numbered to 75. It's a first Bowman. Most recent sale was $181. There's only been one sale in the last 30 days. When you click out and go out 60 days, you can see it's on a downward trajectory. You go out 90 days, and you can see that it's pretty much fallen off a cliff. This was a $600 card 90 daes ago. Go out 180 days, you can see that it went on a little bit of a roller coaster up and down. He got hot. His cards got hot. You saw the thing spike. Now he's cooling off a little bit, and you can see how the cards falling back down to where they were, let's see, back in early February is about where the card is at right now. PSA 9, however, $305. So you are looking at a nice profit on a PSA 9. Only 13 of the 75 cards have been graded by PSA so far. 3 of them are PSA 10s. So you got a 23% gem rate so far on the 13 that have been graded. A little bit harder card to find, a little bit more risk, a little higher risk, a little higher reward on the Cam Smith. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge. All right. Aaron Judge is having another great year. Again, going to be another Hall of Famer. His cards sell extremely well. He's on pace to have another historic season for home runs. His stuff had dipped a little bit in the beginning of May, middle of May, and now they're back up again. So you can see this 15 Bowman Draft Chrome is $15, 19 sales in the last 30 days. So, about every other day, roughly, one is selling. 30-day average is down a little bit from the most recent sale at $13.69. However, this card is in a PSA 9. The card sells for $25. So you pay $15, you get your grading fees. You're going to lose about $20 on a PSA 9. PSA 10 is $75. So why did I put this card on there when you're going to lose $20 on a PSA 9 and you're only going to make about $40 on a PSA 10? Why would I waste my breath on this card? Well, let's take a look at what this card did go out 365 days. You can see that back here when he got hot towards the end of the year in October, you can see the spikes on this card. And this is just the raw version. If we go to the PSA 10, will it let me? It ain't gonna let me. All right. Well, the PSA 10 followed the same trajectory. So you are going to get a huge bump on Aaron Judge come the September, October, as long as the Yankees are still in the running, and I think they will be this year. Huge bump up. So that's why I say this is a good card to get graded now, so that by the time you get it back, you're going to be in great shape, and you're going to have a real inexpensive early year Aaron Judge to be able to flip for some profits. Again, you got to keep in mind, you got to change your strategy here, guys, a little bit, because we're talking about 90 days roughly to get your cards back. 60, it says 65 days, but that's business days, so it's about 90 days to get your cards back. I've got an order I sent in 11 weeks ago. I send into PSA every Wednesday. So I've got an 11-week order from at PSA that's still sitting in research and ID, hasn't moved. So I've got a ton of cards at PSA, as I'm sure a lot of you do, and they are just sitting and sitting and sitting. So you got to plan ahead now. So that's why we're looking at these baseball for the end of the season. All right. Next up, we are going to take a look at Jacob Misiorowski. This guy is a flamethrower. If you haven't heard of him, he's in the Brewers organization. He's setting record after record in the minor leagues for numbers of pitches over 100 miles an hour. Just the other day, set a record for he threw 5 pitches over 100 miles an hour after the 5th inning. They're stretching him out, trying to get it. They'd like to turn him into a starter. I'd like to see him turn him into a closer. But the Brewers haven't asked my opinion, so therefore it doesn't matter. But the guy is going to be on ESPN a lot because of the speed in which he throws. He's got a nasty slider, and his fastball is often 103, 104 miles an hour. So if you haven't heard of the guy, get acquainted with this guy. This guy is going to, when he hits the big leagues, he's going to get a lot of hype on ESPN because of how fast he's throwing. And if he can dominate as well in the majors as what he's doing in the minors, I could see this card really jumping. So right now, this card is sitting. This is his Bowman Draft Auto base. Most recent sale was $51. There have been 6 sales in the last 30 days, so a little better than 1 per week. The 30-day average is sitting about where his last sale is, right around that $50 range. The PSA 9 most recently sold for $75. So it's basically a wash. If you can get it around $50, a 9 is going to be a wash. A PSA 10 currently is sitting at $90. So you're going to make $50 on the card, $40 on the card roughly. Well, I guess with grading fees, you're going to make about 15 after all the fees. However, it does have a 45% gem rate, and I'm putting my money on the fact that this kid's going to have hype. You don't get a hurler that throws 100 plus miles an hour for an entire game. He's throwing 103 in the first inning, and he's still throwing 103 in the 6th inning. This guy's gonna get some TV time, guys. Get acquainted with him. He's gonna become a household name if he can control his stuff. When he gets to the majors, he's gonna be on ESPN a lot. I promise you. All right. Next up, it's fun talking when you get to talk about my Brewers like that. But anyways, all right. Next up, we're gonna have Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, as you can see on the chart here, his cards are going down and to the right. Not having the year everybody was expecting him to have, and therefore his cards are dropping. It's a great time to buy the dip on Kyle Tucker. This card, most recent sale was $78. There have been 6 in the last 30 days. The 30-day average is 126, but that's misleading because there have only been 5 sales, and 30 days ago there was one for just shy of $180. So that's really bringing that average up. His last 2 sales have both been under $100, and they've been dropping. So I think that it's safe to be able to go buy one of these right now. PSA 9, most recent PSA 9 sold for 116. So if you can get it around that $80 mark, you'll break even. If you got to pay a little bit more, you might lose a few bucks on a PSA 9. PSA 10, $332. So you're going to triple your money on a PSA 10. It does have a 30% gem rate. There have been 4 in the last year that have gemmed at PSA. So even though it's a little bit of an older card, there are still some gems hitting the pop report. So if you find a nice copy, you can still go get yourself a PSA 10. All right. Next up, we've got one of the hottest players in all of the minor leagues right now, Jock Caglianone. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Just get to know Jock because he's got promoted to AAA, and he's homered in his first 5, I think it was, AAA games. So with the Royals struggling this year, I think you're going to probably see Jock get called up before the All-Star break. So I would anticipate he might get called up sometime in June if he keeps swinging a hot bat. They're going to try and pair that bat with Bobby Witt. It's going to be fun to watch. And as you can see from the chart, his cards are going up and to the right already based on his promotion and how well he's swinging the bat. So right now, this is a non-auto. It's just the Chrome First refractor. $30 is the most recent sale. There have been 183 of them, so very easy card to get. That's 6 per day roughly. The 30-day average is right at $30. So this is a card you should be able to find for $30 and get it graded. The PSA 9 sells for $60. So you're going to bust even, maybe make a couple of dollars on a PSA 9. PSA 10 is $175 and going up. So this card is only going to get hotter as it goes. The risk with this card, guys, is I believe he's going to get called up before you get this card back from PSA. So the risk involved there is when he gets called up, he then has to hit at the major league level. If he hits at the major league level, it's not going to be a problem because his cards will stay hot the whole entire year. If he gets up and struggles a little bit, like we've seen some of the other big names that have been called up do, Wyatt Langford and Jackson Holiday, even Churio last year started out struggling a little bit. If he struggles, you could see that drop. But when there's such a huge difference between the 10 and the 9 price-wise, even if it drops some, you're going to make money on a 10. So that is why I put that on the list, because I don't think that you are going to have a problem with that at all. Let's see if I can't. Just updating my list here a little bit, guys. All right. So let's go take a look at another card here. All right. We are going to take a look at, let's see. No, that's the one we just looked at. All right, let's get rid of that one and bring up another one here. So that means that this one is gone. So we'll bring up, I believe there's another Mike Trout card here that I'm trying to find. There it is. So we had the Mike Trout base card before. Now we've got the Mike Trout Chrome. Same exact cards. Hey, Mad Cards, welcome in. So same Mike Trout card, same 101, only this is the Chrome version. This card is $86, so it's a little bit more expensive than the non-Chrome version. 6 sales in the last 30 days, so a little better than one per week. The 30-day average is 104. The PSA 9 is $128. So if you can get it in that 85 to 90 range, you're going to make a couple bucks. If you get it around that $100 range, you're going to break even on a PSA 9. The PSA 10 was $371. So little, triple your money on a PSA 10. And again, there have been 100 PSA 10s given to this card in the last calendar year. So if you think that you can't go buy a 2011 and get a PSA 10, you are wrong. There are 100 of them in the last year given by PSA. So still a very heavily graded card, and still a card that you can make a lot of money on. All right, next up. Nope, we're going to get rid of that. All right, next up is going to be, should be Bryce Eldridge. There we go. Bryce Eldridge is a player that was trying to play two ways when they drafted him, so he had a lot of hype. I cautioned everybody on his 2023 draft release, said give it some time, his cards will come down, and they have come down. They're still a little on the expensive side, but I believe that there is a time that you can buy them now and turn some profit. So this is the refractor first auto, numbered to $499. $233 is the most recent sale. 30-day average is $217. So pretty steady in that $220-ish range. 4 sales in the last 30 days, so about 1 per week. A PSA 9 sells for $300, so you're turning a small profit. Even after fees, you're going to turn a small profit on a PSA 9. On a PSA 10, $480. So you're going to essentially double your money. Not quite double your money after you take out all the fees, but close to a double up. And it's got a 45% gem rate. So this is a card that you can make some money on. All right, next up, let's take a look at, this should be our good friend Travis Bazzana. All right, this is the 2024 Draft Chrome Auto. This is the refractor to $499 again. $202, so very similar to Eldridge in terms of cost. 7 sales in the last 30 days, so a couple more sales than Eldridge. This is out of the 2024 Bowman. Eldridge was the 2023, where Eldridge had seen 22 PSA 10s in the last year. So has Bazzana. So very, very similar numbers here, guys. The 30-day average is 214. So just like Eldridge, it's very steady in that $200 to $215 range. PSA 9, $255. So you're essentially a break even on a PSA 9. So that's a little lower than Eldridge's. However, it's got a higher PSA 10. A PSA 10 is $566. It does have a 30% gem rate. It's had 27 out of 90 cards graded so far have been PSA 10s. So that leaves 400 of them that have not yet been graded. So that is a nice way to go get yourself a stud before he hits the, I think he's got a chance at getting called up at the end of the year, or maybe spring training, early spring next year, if he keeps developing. He came with a lot of expectations comes with Travis. So, all right, that said, let's take a look now at his base auto. So the next card up is his base Bowman Draft Auto $135 most recent sale, 39 of these in the last 30 days, so a little better than one per day. $141 is his 30-day average. So again, relatively steady in that $135 to $145 range. On a PSA 9, it's $165. So you might lose $10 on a PSA 9, $290 on a PSA 10. So again, close to a double up on a PSA 10. All right, let's see here. We got a question. So, buying any Wemby or women's college basketball yet? Yes. I have not bought any Wemby cards recently, but I've been buying an absolute ton of women's college basketball. I bought the Paige Beckers draft card. I bought Van Lith's draft card. I bought Kiki Irfin, her draft card. Those just all came in the mail, so they just went out in this PSA submission that I sent out today. I've been buying a lot of Cameron Brink for when she makes her debut here. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, she's healthy. A lot of people buy her cards because of how she looks, which is fine too, whether it's her looks or her play on the basketball court. Either way, Cameron Brink's really popular. I don't think that you're going to see a dip in Caitlin Clark cards with her injury. You might see maybe a 5% dip or something, but she's so amazing and so popular. I think unless we find out she's going to be out more than 2 or 3 weeks, I think you're going to see her cards stay hot, continue to get graded, continue to sell. So hopefully that answers those questions for you. All right, let's get back to some baseball. All right, now Jackson Holiday might be a name that makes everybody's butt pucker a little bit because although I made some money on it, I didn't make what I thought I was going to make. The way he stunk so bad when he got called up. Initially, his cards dropped like a rock. Heavily invested. We said it was the safest thing in baseball. Turned out there is no such thing as the safest thing because a lot of people lost money on him or broke even on him. He's playing well this year. He's starting to live up a little bit to the hype. He's not to that level yet, but he's showing really great strides this year in adopting to big league baseball. So with his pedigree, I say that now might be a good time to buy cheap, get graded, and if he continues to improve as the year goes on, he could have a real nice uptick in his prices come the end of the year. So $195 most recent sale, 9 sales in the last 30 days. So about 2 per week. The 30-day average is $199. So you are looking at pretty steady over the last 30 days. It's going to cost you right around $200 to get into this card. PSA 9 most recent sale, $236. So you're going to break even on a PSA 9. PSA 10's $565. So you're going to double your money on a PSA 10. There have been 14 PSA 10s given in the last year. So the card does get, it's not a super easy card to get graded, but it is a card that is able to get a PSA 10. All right. We got 5 more cards here, guys, to make some money on. We are going to finish here with an Aaron Judge and then 4 Shohei Ohtani cards. We had the Aaron Judge base paper before. Now we've got the Aaron Judge Chrome. So same card, only in the Chrome version. Raw is $233, 24 sales in the last 30 days. So about 1 per day, roughly. 30-day average is $191. So the card is up a little bit from the 30-day average. PSA 9, $250. So you're going to lose $15, $20 on maybe $30 on a PSA 9, depending upon what you pay for it. but the PSA 10 is the big winner, $740, and it's got a 41% gem rate. And there have been 200 gems given to this card by PSA in the last year. So this card is gemming at roughly almost 20 per month still, and the PSA 10 sell for $740. This is a nice way to get 3x of your money. That's a great card to go after and limit your gambling to something that's got a pretty good return on investment. All right, let's finish with 4 Shohei cards. We have the first one is the 2018 Bowman base. This card most recently sold for $22, 189 sales in the last 30 days. So this card's selling 6 per day roughly. 30-day average is $24. So very close to the most recent sale. 20 to 25 bucks is where you want to target this card. Really easy card to get with almost 6 per day on eBay. PSA 9 last sale was $49. So if you can get it around 20 bucks, you can break even on a PSA 9. PSA 10 is $127. So you're going to triple your money. It's got a 42% gem rate, and 1,400 PSA 10s were given in the last year. So this card is still gemming at a rate of about 125 a month is what this card is gemming at. So there are still a lot of these cards getting PSA 10s. So don't shy off of this card just because it's a 2018. All right, guys, this is one of my favorite Shohei Ohtani cards. This is the Bowman's Best Refractor. It's a good-looking card. $165 is the most recent sale. 3 in the last 30 days, so about 1 every 10 days. A little bit harder card to come by. The 30-day average is pretty steady, as you can see, 160 bucks. That's about as flat a line on a graph as you can find. So you can expect to spend right around that $160, $165 mark. The PSA 9 most recent sale was $199. So it's about a wash on a PSA 9. However, here's the big winner of the day, guys. $322 on a PSA 10. So you're gonna double your money. But the gem rate on this card is 86.4%. Unheard of. 86% on a refractor. Unbelievable. 200 PSA 10s were given in the last year. So this is a card, if you want to try and make some money, if you can find one in that $160 to $75 range with an 86% gem rate, there is your best, your lowest risk of the investments of anything that we talked about today. All right, we got 2 cards we're going to finish up with here. Shohei Ohtani Topps number 700. This is the base pitching. As you guys all know, Ohtani is making headlines. He's about ready to come back on the pitching mound. They announced today that he will not pitch before the All-Star break. So expect to see Ohtani back on the mound sometime in July. This is the time you want to start getting your Ohtani cards, especially the cards where he's pitching. Those tend to jump in value when he's on the mound and throwing the ball well. So that's why I picked this card. That's why I like this card. I've got several of these sitting in my vault to sell off when he does start pitching again. $35 is the most recent sale. The 30-day average is also $35. So again, relatively flat. 123 sales in the last 30 days. So about 4 per day, fairly easy card to come by. $49 is the most recent PSA 9 sale. So you're going to lose about 10 bucks on a PSA 9. $164 on a PSA 10. So you're going to triple to quadruple your money on a PSA 10. It does have a 50% gem rate. And this card is on the rise. Make no mistakes about it, guys. This card is going to climb between now and the time you get it back from PSA in August. All right. The last Ohtani card is his Topps Heritage. I love this image, bat on shoulder. I really like the purple version, but this is the one here that you guys can make the money on. It's affordable, it gems well, and it's easy to come by. $50 most recent sale, 69 sales, so about 2 per day. 30-day average is $45. So again, 40, 50, $55 range is where you target this card. It has a 58% gem rate, and 1,000 of these in the last year have gemmed. So almost 100 gems per month coming back from PSA. So it's still gemming at a very high rate, still at 58%. So that is a card that you can buy and make some money on. So hope you guys enjoyed this. It's not as long as I normally do. Had a lot of other things that going on. Sorry, it's been a couple of weeks since I did one of these. I'm going to try to get back to doing these on a bi-weekly basis. And I also have a potential partner that's going to be joining me for once a month to try and make this a better experience for you guys. So as always, feel free to reach out with any questions that you have on your cards. The Nationals 2 months away, so I look forward to seeing a lot of you in Chicago in a couple of months. As it stands right now, I have plans of being off of work on Wednesday and Saturday for the National. I'm going to have to work on Thursday and Friday, but I plan on being there Thursday or Wednesday and Sunday. So hopefully I get to see a few of you there. All right, guys, until next time, have a great day. Talk to you later.